So this is Baruch here at the Tikkun Elevator Kollel, and every day at dawn, well, before dawn, underneath the kotel, the part where you go in, there's like a little cave there, not a little cave, it's really rather extensive, and people daven inside, and the people daven outside by the wall, but the wall continues on, and a lot of people pray inside. Well, before dawn, there's an assembly of Kabbalists there. These Kabbalists, I don't know how long they take in saying the Shema Esrei. I don't know how involved they are in the Rashash Siddur, but they get very, very deeply involved in it, and it probably takes maybe a couple of hours. I'm not sure. Anybody that wants to, it's there every day, and everybody could come and see what it looks like, people who are davening using a Rashash Siddur. Now, the Rashash Siddur is who's the Rashash? Well, Shalom Sharabi, Rabbi Shalom Sharabi, who came from Yemen. I think he established the yeshiva called Bet El in Eretz Yisrael. I'm not 100% sure because I haven't looked at it that closely. But those who were his followers said that he was an extension of the Kriah Kodesh who died at the age of 38. He didn't really accomplish everything that he had to, but on the other hand, if you look at what he accomplished, it's incredible. So they think that the Rashash, Shalom Rabbi Shalom Sharabi, was an extension of the Ari, and he came to really flush it out. And everything that he did was based on this Shar Kavanos. So here we are in the second drush. The second drush is about the Amida, because we understand that the Amida, what's happening in, not the Amida, but he calls it the Berchos Avos. So he says that the basic formula in the Berchos Avos is a pattern that we need to understand for the entire davening. So this is the ultimate. We started out over here with the idea that when you say Adnis Fosai Tiftoch, that is an interface between that place, is an interface between the Mohim that are coming up, or the Mayim Nukvin that is coming up from Olam Abriya, and mixing there in this phrase Adnis Fosai Tiftoch, which you should have in mind, with Olam Atzilus, which is where the tefillah is taking us. Now the Zohar says like this, the Rav says like this, Amnam b'techillah birchos hodoah, which is Modim, lo yesh sham baruch v'lo Hashem. Now here he's talking about the fact that in the Rashash Siddur, and here he's saying it right here, this is the source of it, with actually two bowing downs and two raising yourselves up. We bow down on Baruch, but there's two times we do that. Then it's actually a bowing down of the body, and then a bowing down of the head and the body. And then there's a coming back up, a going erect, which would be the raising up of the body, and then raising up of the head. Both of these are the three brachos that have the word Baruch here that pertain to this, which is the Birchei Avos, Magen Abraham, and the one after Atova Meitiv. Is that what we call it? Anyway, and the third one, we'll get that straightened out. So he says, Hashem Baruch v'lo Hashem, but the Modim doesn't have the word Baruch in it. So how do you use that idea if you don't have it? So he says, a kind of a Modim, when you say a Modim now, Modim anachnu loch. Ein sham tevis Baruch ve'ein sham tevis Avaya. We don't have these two words there. Ein sham shtei Kriah v'shtei Zakifos, because the rule that we said about that is going to be different. Because you don't have any reference where the rabbi says, say, I'll call a Korah Korea Baruch, because there's no Baruch there. There's no Hashem, there's no Yud Kei Vav Kei. So since here's the problem, you can't do Shtei Krios if you don't have the word Baruch. That's what he's saying. You can't do Shtei Zakifos if you don't have the word Yud Kei Vav Kei. You do only one. You do the Kriyas Aguf only. So the idea here is that this is your whole kavanah. In the Yud Kei Vav Kei, in a ladder formation, you're taking the Vav and you're bringing it down. That's the body going downwards. So that's the body, the same idea as the body, the letter Vav, going down to the letter K. So that's all that happens when you first say uh, this pasuk. Kaven she'ein b'modim shtei zakifos. Since we don't, the tiv says, since we don't have two zakifos there, shahare osin rak zakifas aguf, because we only do the raising up of the body. Believe zakifas a rosh without doing the head. Yesh the kaven rak sod hey legabe vav. So here, what you're trying to do in a ladder formation, or any way you want, you're bringing the hay to the vav. So that's lifting it up. Hay is on the bottom, lifting it up to the vav. Kamo b'chriyos. Like we did the same thing in the kriyos. Over there in the kriyos, you brought the vav down to the k. In the zakifos, you only do one. You bring the vav, that is the body, the legs up to the body. The fish ahoy lona b'modim the tefillas amida the lachash. So this is what we saw, just like we saw in the previous where we say the amida b'lachash. Rak Zakifa Kriah achas. So we see that when you do the lachash part, that is the silent prayer, you only do one bow down, and you do only one coming up, and it all has to do with the body, nothing with the roach. Vihi Krias Aguf is a Kifas Aguf. That's what you call just lifting up the body and lifting up lowering the body and raising the body up. So now let me see exactly where we are. So tzrichim anu lachsov also kriya shniya v'zakifa shniya. But let me see, you can't see that. There we go. So tzrichim anu lachsov also kriya shniya v'zakifa shniya. So what we need to do is do it a second time. But how can you do it a second time? So when do you do it a second time? You do it with modim zerabon. So he says, what does this mean? So he says that the tzrichim kol hakachol lachsov b'modim zerabonim. The Chazaras Hashat. So what do you do when you do the Chazaras Hashat? Many of the shuls you go to have bad habits at this point because they think it's just, an old thing that they put in there, and therefore people go around and they get they ask for tzedakah at that time, and they start schmoozing and do all different kinds of things because they're not aware of the fact of how important the Chazaras Hashat really is. So he says this is what you can do following the words of the Rav. So now we have to come, there's a modim de rabbanon. So you do this process a second time. In order to bring down first of all, the kriyas arosh, to bring your head down, and then to bring it back up. Shall modim de tefillin, de tefillas amida, the lachash. And that's where we're going to stop today. This is where we come to the place where we have now modim de tefillas the rabbanon. We have a kriya and a zakifa. And in the regular modim and lachash, we have a kriya and a zakifa as well. That's how you get the four in. Now, it's important to understand that the Rashash doesn't agree with this. And in fact, the practice is that we do have I'm trying to find if we can find a little place where I know that the Tib talks about it. Here's just a little bit of it. He said, lo yesham baruch v'lo Hashem. So he said, Sarach Iyon, but wait a minute, it's not so simple, he says. When you say there's no name Hashem, but there is. There it is. Beam came Yesham Hashem Havaya. So there is a Yesham or Yeshem Havaya. There is an Havaya there. But in another place he says that, and I just can't find it right now. He says that the Rashash actually holds that you do the same thing by this. There is a Havaya there. And that's really the way that we do it. And in fact, there is no difference in the way that we practice this. This is Baruch Fleischman at the Tikkun Elevator Kolo, and we're learning a little bit about the Amida and some of the effects that our actions are going. We're going to learn what they produce.